review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guests. They are podcast hosts of Better Than Perfect. No other than Mr. John and Miss Nicole Sonmez.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to Book 101, both of you. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. So we are husband and wife. We live in San Diego, California. We are the hosts of a podcast we created called Better Than Perfect. It's a podcast about what we call a modern traditional relationship, and it's focused on teaching people how to build long-lasting and loving relationships and to grow from those relationships and teaching men how to be masculine in those relationships and women how to be feminine and how the masculine and the feminine together create a better than perfect relationship.
Mr. John and Miss Nicole Sonmez, thank you so much for sharing your podcast to the world. And we are hoping for more and more and more empowering episodes to come. So today, what book you want to recommend on Book 101 review?
We are recommending the book called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data.
David Data, The Way of the Superior Man. What is all about?
Well, it's a very interesting book. It's about how to be a better man and how to embody the masculine elements of being a man. So it's very much a spiritual book. It has a lot of practical advice, but it's much more of a spiritual book of understanding as a man, the struggles that men face, how to overcome those struggles and challenges, and really a large portion about how to deal with a woman in your life in the right way, the feminine, and how to to embrace and understand that rather than trying to change those aspects of the woman that's in your life. So a lot of men's struggles, a lot of the things that they struggle with are addressed in this book. I think it's one of the best books that every man should read. There's a huge amount of value in it. It's a book that I read over and over again and continue to gain value from.
Certainly. Miss Nicole, what is your understanding about the way of the superior man? Is it Mr. John is
Actually,
superior?
John is superior. He definitely has taken
Superior, yes.
a lot of the book has said to heart, and he does a great job. But it is a really good book. I think, like John said, that it's very spiritual, but it shows how to be a man, but come from a place of love. Because I think a lot of times men, it seems like when they're trying to figure out their masculinity and things like that, they go straight to like the aggression and the anger and this sort of like extreme version of masculinity that they think that's what that really is. But this book does a really great job of talking about masculinity from a loving place, from a place of just doing everything with love. And like John said, dealing with women and, understanding that women are going to be the way that they are. They're going to be feminine and they're going to do certain things that don't necessarily make a lot of sense to you. But instead of trying to change her into a man or, like change how she behaves or acts or things like that, to instead influence her in a positive way via the love that he talks about. So it's just it does a really good job of explaining like a very healthy way of masculinity and how to come from a place of love and understanding. And even as a woman reading the book, at time it was a little bit, I told John, a little bit like blunt with some
Yeah.
of the things that he says. But John was like, that's kind of how men, talk with each other.
Right.
Yes.
So, but even as a woman, it wasn't offensive reading it. Like, it actually did a really good job of understanding a lot of women's psychology and like the way of the feminine in a way that was still respectful to women. So you can tell that he's really coming from a place of love because he doesn't slander women. he's not saying that they're wrong. He really does come from a place of love. And I feel like, that's where true masculinity should come from, because
Right.
masculinity is about protecting the femininity and protecting other people and things like that. And so it is a really good book.
Interesting indeed. Empowering answer. So, if you relate your podcast better than perfect to the book itself, where part of the book you will relate?
Hmm. I would say that a lot of the focus on our podcast is about putting the responsibility of the relationship onto men, because they're supposed to be the leaders in the relationship. And so the book is very much about being a man that takes accountability for his life and for the woman in his life and his emotions and his relationships. And so that's a lot of what our focus is on the podcast. We talk a lot to men, saying that, yeah, maybe the woman with that you're with is not perfect. No one is perfect, but you're the one who's supposed to be the leader. She's supposed to be able to trust you. So you've got to be a superior man. You've got to be a man that you can't just say, oh, well, this isn't fair. It's not supposed to be fair. You're the one who is responsible for leading the house and leading the family, and therefore you've got to be the one that steps up. And in order to do that, you have to improve and take accountability yourself and take responsibility for everyone that's under your care. So that's a big theme of our podcast, and that's why I think this book also really resonates with what we teach, especially what we teach men.
Miss Nicole, what is your idea
Yeah,
about
I
this?
agree.
The
I agree
same.
100%. I know we asked you to do two books, but when you said like one at a time, I told John I do think we should do this book first because, like he said, that if you're in a modern traditional relationship like us, like as a woman, I am putting 100% trust in John and leading our family and making decisions for our family and things like that. That's not to say that we don't have discussions about things, but he is the one in charge. And so this book truly helps men become the type of leader that a woman can trust 100%. And again, because it comes from that loving place, and John himself comes from that loving place. And I know he's always considering me, and he thinks about me highly as a woman and as a feminine woman. And that's also what this book portrays. And if I could find a book that has all the ways that a woman would want a man to be, it would be this book. And so the more men that read this book and understand these concepts and, you know, come from a place of love and really lead in the right way, I feel like it will influence women to feel safe to be in their feminine and to relinquish 100% of the control or trust in a man if that's what they want. And being a woman myself, and for the first time being with a man that's totally leading everything, and being able to be in my feminine energy in a way that I've never been, it's so exhilarating and it's so wonderful. And so, kind of piggybacking off of the book, just from a woman's perspective, that when a man can be a superior man, a woman can be a more feminine and soft and vulnerable woman. And deep at any like feminine woman's core, that's what she wants, but she needs the safety to do that. And this book is just great, where you can still be like a tough masculine man, but still come from like that loving place that a woman also needs to feel like you love her and care about her, if that makes sense.
Makes sense and beautifully articulated. Thank you so much for empowering us and recommending this book. So, the book often explores the concept of masculine and feminine energies. How can one balance or navigate those within a modern relationship?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I think it begins with understanding what they are. I think a lot of people have misconceptions about what it means to be masculine, and there's really not even hardly any good information about what it means to be feminine. At least we have some idea of what it means to be masculine, but femininity isn't really talked about very much or well understood. But I think it begins with understanding that the masculinity is not about being tough and getting your way and being the alpha dog. It's about really giving your gift to the world, your greatest gift, which is love, right? And the way that you do that is through protecting and providing and being strong emotionally, right? So understanding that masculinity at its core is it's about action, it's about taking action, but it's about not being shaken by your emotions, not being led by your emotions, right? Being able to withstand and stay firm and stay strong, but doing that in love, not doing that in, anger is something that is the opposite of masculinity. It's the lack of control of your emotions. True masculinity is very stoic, and then understanding femininity, that femininity is about being soft. It's about being yielding. It's about being uh, nurturing and vulnerable. It's something that needs to be protected. It is something that is weak compared to masculinity being strong, and so it has to be protected. That's why femininity requires a strong masculine presence in order for it to be safe. And so I think just starting with that understanding, and then really, I would say, seeing the value in both, right? So, as a man, I see the value in the feminine, right? If I don't see the value in that, if I think that the way that I think about things and how I want to overcome obstacles, and we should get up early in the morning and go to the gym and make our lists for our businesses and the things that we need to do, and in all of this kind of thing, and I think that, okay, a woman should act that way, because that's the better way to be. Then I don't appreciate the feminine, right? And so I have to, as a man, learn to appreciate the feminine. And what does that provide? That softness, the slowing down, being in the present moment instead of being in the future, and trying to always drive and get things done. And the same thing with the feminine, appreciating the masculine, appreciating that a man is going to have that drive, that he wants to lead, that he wants to protect, that he wants to provide. That these are good qualities, that a man is singular focused in the way that he approaches things. He doesn't have the diverse focus that a woman does, of paying attention to multiple things at a time, but that's a good quality. So it's really appreciating the good in the other, to realize that as in the masculine, I need the feminine to be complete, and the feminine realizing that she needs the masculine in order to be a complete whole, right? The whole yin and the yang, I think is very important. But that's the key, is first understanding those concepts, really, and then understanding the value of of each other. That's what I would say is the key.
Totally agree, Mr. John and Miss Nicole. What can you say about it?
Yeah, I mean, John kind of hit on the point that I was going to say, is that it's really about appreciating both the masculine and the feminine. And I know that, like John said, that femininity is weak, and I'm not saying that it isn't, but at the same time, it's valuable.
Right.
Like, even if it is the weaker thing, it is still valuable to have a well-rounded relationship. And even in this book, in the way of the superior man, he talks about you don't have to be like a heterosexual couple like we are. There's still going to be a masculine like energy in any relationship, and same, usually there's going to be a feminine. So regardless of, if you're in a heterosexual relationship or what have you, you still need that dynamic, and you have to appreciate what the masculine brings and what the feminine brings to have that full picture, and to have that polarity, and to have that oneness together. It's kind of like the yin and the yang. We all have both, but one we usually have a little bit more than the other. And so this book talks really well about the masculine side of it and the right way of it, but it also does explain to men a little bit more of the feminine side, and how it's not wrong of women to be that way. And so, like John said, he's kind of introducing to men that it's okay for women to be emotional,
Yeah.
or these other feminine qualities that usually men are like, oh, I don't want to talk about emotions or things like that. So you know we want to help people appreciate both sides and realize that we both need those sides. Like everybody needs those things, and it's okay to need something and not be afraid to be like, I need this. So yeah, it just that's what we want to do, and like explain to people. And this book just does a really good job.
And it's interesting you said about the weak part, because the way I think about it is it's more, we use the term weak and we see it as a negative. It's not negative in the sense that I think a better term to understand what that's meant, because the opposite of strength is weak, right? Masculine is strong, feminine is weak, but we see that negative because society has taught us to see that way. But a better word to be able to see it is fragile,
Mm-hmm.
because if you have a glass ornament, right? You don't say, "Oh, it's weak, it's fragile, so it's not good." You say it's fragile, so I need to protect this glass ornament, right? In fact, you would even consider it to be of a higher value because it's fragile. So you would treat it better than you would something that is more robust or quote strong. And so I think that's an important distinction, is that we've in society we're saying, oh, in fact, I think a lot of women are like, I don't want to be weak, and they see that as a bad thing, and it can be meant as a bad thing when it's used in a derogatory way. But being fragile, being delicate, is not bad. It's feminine. It's just that we live in a very masculinized world where women are in their masculine. Men are trying to be in their masculine, but more men are in their feminine. But that seems to be dominant in society today. So I think that's why there's a lot of confusion behind that.
So, Mr. John and Miss Nicole, I'm encouraging you to write a book because your insights, you're visionary, and please do write it and make to empower the world. Let's empower the world through your insights. So amazing. And please do a book like Better Than Perfect edition as your
That's a good
podcast.
idea.
Sounds good.
Please.
Yeah.
Just like me, I did my book 101 review, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and I'm doing until volume 100. As your podcast going through times, please create a book better than perfect. Book edition because your insight is so amazing, and share to the world more and more. So you talk about how many should not rely on a woman, right? For fulfillment a while ago. A woman's fulfillment. Can you elaborate for why this is important?
I think I could you say that again? I
Yes,
missed part of
for
that.
woman fulfillment. Did you discuss a while ago? Can you elaborate more how woman will you fulfill in your
How women
How to
marriage?
fulfill.
fulfill a
Yes.
woman.
How do you fulfill you, Miss Nicole?
How do you fulfill me?
That's the question.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well,
Sorry.
I would say as a man, the biggest thing is to understand that a woman needs emotional validation, and she needs you to be strong emotionally, so that yeah, I would say that the biggest fear that all women have is that if if their man saw what them in their worst, what they really are at their worst, that he wouldn't love them. And so showing a woman that no matter what she shows up, no matter what um, you know darkness she feels like she has, or ugliness she has inside her, that he loves her no matter what. That it's not he does not reject that. He accepts the full core of who she is as a person. I think that's the deepest way for a man to help a woman to feel fulfilled in a relationship, is that he provides emotional safety. That's really the biggest thing I think that is lacking. And would you? agree with that? Or
Yeah.
Security.
Mhm.
Security for sure. So, what will be your short term and long term goals in terms of podcasting?
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Well, we would eventually like to, be able to spread our insights and our messages to everybody because we really just want people to have happy relationships, honestly. And we feel like we've each been through our own share of things that we've learned a lot from. And that has helped cultivate this relationship that we're in right now. And we continue to show up and do the work and learn new things. And that just keeps making our relationship better than perfect, and it is possible for everybody to do.
Yeah.
And so we want people to believe that they can have that and help them along their way by teaching them things or helping them learn things that will better help them in their relationships.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like us to be able to, reach a large number of people with the message, and to be able to, I think, write a book. I think that would be great,
Yes.
and also to be able to coach men and women in their relationships, and help them, and really make this the main thing that we're doing, the main mission. Because I feel like of all the things that I'm doing in business and in life, that this is probably the most important thing. That's the most, because having a good relationship, as you know, in teaching men how to be better in relation, how to be better men, how to treat a woman properly, and to lead their relationship, it affects everybody, because it affects the man, because the man is then able to have a happier relationship with a woman who desires him and appreciates him and respects him. So he's happy. It fulfills the woman, because the woman is then able to be in her feminine, and she feels happy and satisfied and fulfilled. But when she's in her feminine, then it affects the children, because then she's able to nurture and raise the children. She's not in her masculine, acting masculine, and so those children benefit, and so all of society and everyone benefits. But it starts with the man knowing how to lead their relationship in a loving way. And so I think that's really what my vision is for the podcast, is that we we change the tide of society, and and teach men and women how to be better than perfect in their relationships.
Good luck to your goals, both of you. And can I suggest your first book for your podcast, Better Than Perfect, Volume 1, Superior Man? Ah,
I
that's
like it.
awesome because your insight today is so amazing that for me, it will empower the world. So please do a book, do a course, as you are talking about. Make your podcast available to everywhere from podcast courses, coaching, and many more. And please do come over on Book 101 review once you publish it. Please.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, what will be your advice for those people out there want to make a better than perfect relationship?
Oh, the
I'll let
advice.
you go first. What do you
I
think
would
of advice?
say first things first, you have to be open to growth and growing. You have to have a growth mindset. If
Yeah.
you're in a fixed mindset, everything's just going to stay the same. So I think it first starts with being open and ready to change your life or change your mindsets, change the beliefs that you've maybe had for a long time, and be open to learning new things and, watch our podcast or,
Yes.
read books like the one that we're recommending and, just really try to get good information that will help you get the relationship that you want. Know that you're going to make mistakes and sometimes you're going to learn things the hard way, and but that's okay as long as you continue to get back up and try again. You can, and you don't give up on the hope and the dream of having a better than perfect relationship and having the love and the relationship that you want, that brings you peace, all the things that people want in their partnership. You can have those things, and just be open to learning and to working with your partner, communicating, and you guys can get through any and everything and be happily in love the entire time.
And I would say two things. I would say one, don't try and change your partner,
Mm.
change yourself, work on yourself, because you're not going to change someone else. And people are resistant to change. When someone feels like you're trying to change them, it means that you don't accept them,
Mm.
and they're going to double their efforts to stay the way that they are. So influence people by changing yourself, influence your partner by changing yourself, work on yourself, don't focus on the other person as the issues. And then the second one I would say is that respond in love. Like just make that your mantra to all things, to all circumstances, situations, and people. Think about how can I respond in love. And sometimes responding in love, it doesn't mean just saying yes. It doesn't mean just doing what anyone wants to do. Sometimes responding in love actually means setting a boundary, or holding a standard, or holding someone accountable. But if you're doing it from a place of love, then you will grow the relationship, and as a man, you'll do that in a way that is leading as well.
Very well said, both of you. Thank you so much for your insight. So before we wrap up our discussion for tonight, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Food 101, in each fifth season. People, fifth season, Bishop Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in one of the five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So please do listen, Food 101, wherever you listen your podcast. So Miss Nicole and Mr. John, how can men stay grounded and connected to their core in an increasingly chaotic and fast paced world?
Hmm.
This is
Well,
definitely one for
yeah.
you.
The big thing is uh, to get rid of the victim mindset. That is the key, because when you is taking responsibility. Stop blaming people. Stop blaming women. Right? Stop blaming society. Even if society is messed up, it doesn't matter. You have to take responsibility. That is really the key. That is really take pride in being a man, right? Take pride in that things are hard. That's a good thing. It's good that things are hard, right? We've lost a sense of pride, especially young men today have lost a sense of pride in masculine and being a man. You'll be much more grounded when you get rid of the victim mindset, when you take full responsibility for your life and the people in your life, and that gives you power. And that power is a lot more effective than force. And so a lot of men are trying to lead, they're trying to dominate by force, but force is doesn't come from a place of love. Force is not nearly as effective as true inner power, which comes from taking personal responsibility for your life and for the circumstances of your life.
Certainly. And Miss Nicole?
I think you hit the nail
Get
on the head with that one.
definitely. Yes, indeed. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your podcast and, of course, your upcoming book? I was saying already, upcoming book. Please do. Uh,
We're manifesting it.
Yeah.
yes, manifesting people think that you are doing already. I'm encouraging you. Please do the book itself because your insights are so amazing. It will empower the world. So, Mr. John and Miss Nicole, thank you so much for being part on Book 101 Review. And can you please invite our listeners to listen or watch your podcast itself?
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you go to YouTube, Better Than Perfect Podcast, that's where you can find us. Please subscribe, and we have an Instagram, TikTok account, and you can also find us on Spotify and as well as Apple Podcasts. Right, we have a video podcast every single week that we do live in our studio. So if you want some help with relationships, if you want to have a better than perfect relationship, just look for us, Better Than Perfect Podcast.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Nicole and Mr. John. Better than perfect. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, and please do As I suggest, please do the book, courses, and coaching because your podcast is big and becoming more bigger and bigger and bigger. So more to come, people. See you soon.